A boy named Zayn, who is serving a 5-year sentence, arrives in court with his lawyer Nadine for a different case against his parents, who are also present. Shortly after, the session starts, and the judge asks his mother Sarah if she knows why she's in court. Sarah says she only knows that her son is serving his time in prison, and she doesn't understand why they still have to show up in court. His dad, Selim, also adds that they don't know why they were dragged to court. The judge then asks if they know why their son is in prison, and just as they try to play down what happened, Zayn is asked for his age. He says he doesn't know, and Nadine tells the judge that his parents failed to register their son after he was born, and he has no official records with the government. She, however, shows the judge a doctor's report that suggests that Zayn is 12 years old. Following this, the judge asks the young boy why he's in prison, and he says he stabbed someone who deserved it. The judge moves on to the case of the day, and as he asks what the boy wants, Zayn says he wants to sue his parents for bringing him into the world. He then starts telling his story, which begins in the slum areas of his country where his family lives. His mom sends him to a pharmacy with a fake prescription to get her some pain meds. After he gets it, he takes it home for his mother, who finds a way to soak it into some clothes she's taking for her other son, Ibrahim, who is in prison. When she arrives at the prison with Zayn, she tells Ibrahim how she stored the pain meds that he'll be secretly selling in prison to make some money. After they leave, Zayn heads over to begin his work as a delivery boy for a man named Hamza. When he's done for the day, his boss pays him with some vegetables, while also giving him a special package for his younger sister Sahar. However, on his way home, Zayn throws the special food away because he doesn't want his boss to do any special favors for his sister. He then heads home and delivers the vegetables to his mother, who complains that they're rotten. The next morning, just as he wakes up, Zayn sees bloodstains on the sheets where he sleeps with his siblings. He doesn't say anything about it, but he soon realizes that it's coming from Sahar, who has started her period. While they're helping their mom to sell some juice on the road, Zayn calls his sister secretly when he sees her dress stained with blood. He takes her into a toilet to clean up and warns her not to tell anyone about it because her parents will give her to Hamza for marriage. Since her underwear is also stained, he gives her his shirt as a replacement until they can find a solution. Later that day, while at work, he steals a pack of sanitary pads from Hamza's shop and gives them to his sister, who he tells to be careful of where she drops them after use. At night, Sarah and Selim start talking about how they need to get money to pay Hamza, who also happens to be their landlord. Sarah suggests sending their son to school because she heard that schools always give their students several good things to bring home, including food, which he can share with his siblings. His father, however, thinks it's not a good plan because no one would be able to work with Hamza at his shop. Zayn says he'll speak to his boss about it, and they can come to an agreement where he goes to school and comes back to work. Selim is still not convinced, and he says he'll need some time to think about it. Days later, Zayn keeps going to work at the shop, and after his last delivery, he gets home only to find some chickens in the house. He asks one of his siblings where they got it, and she says his boss brought them, and he's still inside. He angrily heads for the living room to stop whatever is going on, but his mom holds him back, telling him not to embarrass them. Zayn tells her he's not going to allow Sahar to be married off to his boss, and his mom assures him that it's not going to happen. After a while, he realizes that his boss came to their house with his father. While the adults then discuss what will happen next to Sahar, Zayn sees her alone and tells her to remove the makeup on her face. That night after Hamza and his father leave, Zayn struggles to sleep as he thinks of how to stop his sister from marrying his boss. The next day, Zayn comes up with a plan, and he tells Sahar to be ready for when he comes back because they'll be leaving town. He then heads to work and steals some supplies, after which he goes to meet a bus driver to ask for the price of the fare for him and his sister. After getting the price, he says he's coming back soon. However, when he gets home, he sees Sarah preparing to take his sister away from the house. Zayn fights against this, but his mom tells him to stay out of it. Despite this, he continues to defend his sister, but shortly after, his father shows up and takes her away, with Zayn being unable to do anything. After this, he gets angry and runs away from the house to catch the bus. He leaves town and stops at an amusement park, where he spends the night on one of the swings. The next day, he heads to a restaurant near the amusement park and meets one of the workers named Rahil. After she welcomes him in, he says he wants to see the owner because he's looking for a job. Rahil doesn't understand why a young boy like him needs a job, but Zayn says he's ready to do anything. He eventually meets her boss, who tells him there's no work for him because of how small he is. Throughout the day, Zayn keeps going around to find a job, but he doesn't get any. He then goes back to the amusement park, and while he's looking really sad as he watches the children playing there, Rahil sees him while she's cleaning the restroom. As she's working, she leaves only one of the toilets open while she locks the other one and says it's out of service. It then turns out that she's hiding her baby inside there. When she's through with work, she wraps her baby very well and heads out of the building. Zayn sees her and goes to ask if she has anything she can give him to eat. Because of how he looks, Rahil decides to help him, so she takes him to where she's living. When they get there, she bathes him and her baby Yonas, after which she gives him food to eat and a place to sleep. The next day, before she leaves for work, she tells him to stay at home with her baby. She also gives him instructions on when to feed him. After she leaves, Zayn does a good job of taking care of Yonas, and the baby also gets fond of him. Elsewhere, Rahil complains to her co-worker about how her papers will be expiring soon, and she has no money to renew them yet. The lady advises her to do whatever she wants to do quickly because people without papers are getting arrested. That night before she heads home, she steals a box of cake from her workplace. When she gets home, she meets Zayn and Yonas sleeping peacefully, and after she wakes them, she offers them some cake to eat. While Zayn is eating, she asks him about his family, and he tells her he misses all his siblings, most especially Sahar. When Rahil asks about her, he says she's now with her husband, but he lies about how happy he was at their wedding. The next day, Rahil leaves him alone with Yonas again, while she goes to see a guy named Aspro, who helps people with their papers. At his shop, she begs him to collect the money she already has, but he says he can't take it unless she pays fully. As she then mentions that his services are expensive, he tells her she can leave. However, she says she didn't mean it, and continues pleading with him to take what she has. Aspro urges her to pay what he wants, and he also tells her that if she can't pay, she should sell her child to him. Rahil doesn't agree with this, and Aspro tries to convince her to accept his offer, saying that if the police find her with a child who has no papers, they'll take him away and send her out of the country. She still doesn't agree, and he then tells her that if she can't pay up in 7 days, he won't do it for her anymore. The next day, she goes to her workplace to see if she can get paid, but the owner says he can't give her any advances because it's only the start of the month. She also goes to a few other places, but all her efforts lead to nothing. Days later, she leaves the house and tells Zayn that she's going to call her mother. During the call, she can't help but cry as she explains her situation to her mom, who also doesn't have any money. That night, she doesn't return home and Zayn has to put Yonas to sleep. The next day, he heads out with the baby to check her workplace, but her boss says he hasn't seen her since the previous day. As Zayn looks lost, her boss advises him to go to the market to find a man named Aspro, who helps with her papers. With this, Zayn keeps carrying Yonas and heads to the market. After a while, he finds Aspro, who says he hasn't seen Rahil in a while. He, however, helps both children get something to eat. Despite taking the food, Zayn refuses to stay with Aspro because of how he keeps talking about taking Yonas. They then leave the market and stay outside to eat their food. There, Zayn makes a new friend named Maysoon, who asks who Yonas is. He says they're brothers, but she doesn't believe him because of how different they look. Later that day, Zayn and Yonas then wander around as they don't know what else to do regarding Rahil. Meanwhile, it turns out she has been arrested for not having complete papers, and she's now in police custody. Zayn continues to take care of her baby, and as he looks around for something to feed him, he steals milk from another baby. However, when he gives it to Yonas, he doesn't seem to like it. With nothing else at home to eat, he takes out some ice cubes from the fridge and adds some salt to it, after which he and the baby take it as dinner. While going around the city the next day to find something to eat, Zayn sees Maysoon and asks where she gets her food from. She says there's a Syrian relief camp in the city, but he won't be able to get anything there because he's Lebanese, not Syrian. As they continue talking, she tells him she's planning to leave the country soon. She says she has someone who is helping her work on her papers to leave for Sweden. Zayn asks if he can also come along with Yonas, but she says he'll need some money. She gives him the number of her agent, who turns out to be Aspro. When he gets home that day, he works on his Syrian accent so he can get some food from the relief camp. He also prepares for the questions he'll likely get from the people there about his relationship to Yonas. After a while, he finally decides to go there, and his plan works out well to get him and the baby some supplies to last a few days. Seeing as he needs some money to continue to take care of the baby, he decides to sell the water tank in the house. He takes it to the market, and Aspro offers to buy it. He also asks again about taking Yonas away, saying there's a family who can take care of him, and he'll also be paying Zayn $500 for delivering the baby. The boy doesn't think it's a good idea, but he then asks if Aspro can help him with papers to go to Sweden or Turkey. He says it's something he can do, and just before the boy leaves, he tells him to think about his offer. Since he didn't make a lot of money from the sale of the tank, Zayn goes to a pharmacy and lies his way into buying some pain meds. He mixes it in water and starts selling it around to thugs in the area to make some money. Despite starting off nicely, things soon took a rough turn when some people refused to pay him, so he stops the business. When he gets home, he sees that the landlord has locked the apartment, and this gets him really frustrated. With nowhere to go, Zayn is left stranded with Yonas, and after thinking about it for a long time, he decides to visit Aspro. He gives him the baby and takes the money, with Aspro then telling him to bring his official documents to help him process papers to Sweden. Zayn says he's going to get it, but before he leaves, he looks really sad about dropping Yonas off. Shortly after, Zayn heads to his parents' house to get his papers, but his parents are not happy to see him after leaving them for a long time. As he says he only wants his papers, his father says he doesn't have any papers, and the only ones he has in the house are for the medical bills he couldn't pay. Zayn is shocked to hear this, and he asks what his father is talking about. He doesn't get any response, even when he asks his mother. However, he soon realizes that Sahar is dead. His mother also says it has been a while since it happened, so he can forget about it. Zayn cannot believe his ears, and as he's furious, he takes a knife and leaves the house, saying he's going to teach Hamza a lesson. His parents quickly run after him, but it's too late before they get to him, and he stabs Hamza. The young boy is then arrested and taken to prison. After spending a few days in prison, he sees Rahil also behind bars. As she sees him, she realizes that Yonas will now be alone and starts crying. Later on, she and Zayn then meet with the warden to give him more information about how they know each other. Days later, Sarah comes to see her son in prison. She brings him some snacks and also tells him not to worry about his dead sister anymore because she's now pregnant with another baby. Zayn doesn't like this and believes his mother is heartless. He also tells her never to come over to see him again. While thinking about what happened when his mom came around, he listens to the sound of the TV as his cellmates watch a show where people report child molestation and violence. After serious consideration, he decides to call in, and as he tells the presenter about what happened to him as well as his sister, everyone in prison gets excited to hear his voice on TV. Following this, he gets a visit from Nadine, who offers to help him with his case. In the present day, Rahil is also present in court, and she tells the judge about how helpful Zayn was to her. Hamza also appears in court in a wheelchair and explains how Sahar died after getting pregnant at only 11 years of age. He also tries to justify his marriage to her, saying it's a normal thing in the country. Nadine asks why she didn't get proper care, and Sarah answers, saying she didn't have official papers. She also tells the lawyer not to judge her for the decision she made when things were really hard, which she now regrets. After hearing all they have to say, the judge asks Zayn what he wants, and he says he doesn't want his parents to give birth anymore. The judge says he doesn't think they'll still give birth to more children because of how old they are, but Zayn asks about the child his mom is currently carrying. As they hear their son ask this question, Sarah and Salim look really sad as they realize how bad they've been as parents. Shortly after, with the help of information from Zayn, Hamza is arrested with his colleagues. When the police officers check around his house, they see a room where he hides people he wants to sell. In the room, they also find Yonas, and after a while, he is taken to meet his mother, who is very happy to see him. After that, Zayn is taken to where his passport photograph will be taken for his first official means of identification. Before taking the photo, the photographer directs him to stand well and smile.